This video is for Algebra 1, and this is a review of our quadratics. Use the graph at the right to answer the following questions. Where is the vertex? Remember that a vertex is the point where it's going to change directions. So it's going to be this point right here. You have to write it as a point. We went 1, 2, 3 left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So the point is -3, -5. That is your vertex. The next question is, how many solutions does it have? A solution is where it crosses the x-axis. Okay, that's what a solution is. It crosses the x-axis right here, and it crosses it right here. So how many solutions? It has 2. Is the vertex a maximum or a minimum? Remember that a maximum is a high point, and a minimum is a low point. This one is a low point, therefore it is a minimum. Where is the solution, or where are the solutions? Once again, it's where it crosses the x-axis. A solution is written x is equal to a number. We do have 2. The first one is at x equal -1, and the other one is at x equal -5. If you're given y equal -3x squared plus 4, and they want the quadratic term, remember that is going to be the part that has x squared, and you do use the coefficient and the sign. So -3x squared is my quadratic term. The linear term is the one that has an x. If you look up here, there is no term with just x, and so you could say none, as in there is none. And then the constant's the number by itself, and on this one it is 4. Keep in mind you do want to have everything on the same side before you answer these questions. Is your graph going to open up or down? Well, if you're not sure, you can go to your calculator and go to y equal, clear everything out, and put your problem in. -3x squared plus 4. I would go to zoom 6 just to get a normal kind of graph. And does it open up or down? Well, the open part is going to be down here because it's closed up here at the top. So it's going to open down. When it opens down, your vertex is up here at the top, and that is a maximum. To find the vertex, you're going to go second, calc, and either 3 or 4. This is for your vertex. Since it's at the top, it's a maximum, so we will go second, calc, number 4 for maximum. Remember, you have to be at the left or before the vertex. Press enter. Go to the right until you get past the vertex. Enter, enter. And you can round, but you also need to be aware if there is an E. Remember, if there is an E, that means this whole thing is 0. So the x value is 0, the y value is 4. You need to write this as a point. 0, 4 is your vertex. Your axis of symmetry will always start out with x is equal to, and you use the x value from the vertex. So x is equal to, looking at the next problem, we're going to go back to y equal, clear it out, and we're going to put x squared plus 2x. And we've already got it there, but we've got some other questions to answer first. Your quadratic term is x squared. Your linear term is the one with x, and so it is 2x. And your constant would be the number by itself. There's not one, so it's either 0 or you could put none. Does it open up or down? Well, we have it in. Let's look at our graph. And the open part is up here. We have it's closed down here at the bottom. The line just keeps going. So the open is up. When it opens up, you have a low point, which is a minimum. So to find this vertex, you're going to go second, calc, number 3 for minimum. You're going to go to the left until you get before it. Enter. You're going to go to the right until you get past it. Enter. Enter. And we have -1, -1, because remember you can round. So -1, -1 is my vertex. That makes my axis of symmetry. X is equal to the x value of the vertex, -1. Number 19 wants you to solve by graphing. So don't let the A thing bother you. It's just like it being an X. And keep in mind that you've got to get everything on the same side. You either got to have y by itself or 0. So this -7 has to move. And it becomes a squared plus 6a When you cross the equal sign, you change and do the opposite. So instead of minus 7, it is now plus 7 equals y. So we're going to go to y equal. We're going to clear it out, and instead of an a, we're going to use x squared plus 6x plus 7. Remember that to do this, we're going to put a 0 at y2. Okay, so when you're solving by graphing, make yourself a note. Put 0 at y2, and then you're going to do second calc 5. And you're going to do this 2 times because you should have 2 answers. So we've got our 0. We're going to go second calc 5. We're going to let it draw. We're going to go enter, enter, enter. And my first answer is negative 1.6. So A equals negative 1.6. I have to go through the same steps again. Second calc 5. But I want to be at the other solution. So go to the left and get closer to the other one. And then enter, enter, enter. And we have negative 4.4. A is equal to negative 4.4. So those are your 2 solutions. Looking at number 20, we're going to have to move this minus 2. And it becomes x squared minus 2x plus 2 is equal to y. Because when you cross the equal sign, you do the opposite. So we're going to go to our calculator, and we're going to go to y equal and clear it out. And we're going to say negative 2x squared plus, my bad, let's clear this out. We're going to say x squared minus 2x plus 2. We need our 0 at y2. Second calc number 5. Let it draw. Enter, enter, enter. And there is no sign change. Now remember, when we see that, we worry about maybe we can't see the graph. So go back and look at your graph. And you can see your graph, so that's not it. We worry about, do we have it in right? X squared minus 2x plus 2. We do. So go back one more time and look at your graph and notice that it does not get to the x-axis. And that's what y2 is. So they don't cross. This is no real roots. Okay? If it does not cross the x-axis and you have 0 for y2, it's going to be no real roots. Going to the back. Identify the transformations from the parent function. Remember, the parent function is y equal x squared. When you're talking about transformations, you're going to be saying up, down, flip, wide, narrow. Okay, those are the words you're going to use. You're not going to give me numbers unless you tell me how much it moved. So, going from y equal x squared to 1/2 x squared minus 4, the first thing you want to look at is that 1/2. That is going to make it get wide. Then you need to look at that minus 4, and that is going to send it down 4. Number 22. We're going from one equation to another, okay? You will not list transformations for each of these. These are being compared to each other. I went from a 2 to a 4. Don't look at the sign. From a 2 to a 4, I got bigger. That makes it narrow. So then I went from a positive number to a negative number. That causes a flip. And then I went from a minus 3 to a plus 2. Think about that. We're going from a negative 3 to a positive 2. Went up 3 and up 2 more, so it went up 5. Notice I did not write information for each equation. I took the 2 equations, compared them to each other, and have one list of answers. And then the last thing you have to be able to do is use the quadratic equation. Remember that the first step is to have everything on the same side. So this 20 has got to move. And it becomes x squared minus 8x minus 20 equals 0. When you cross the equal sign, you do the opposite sign. So a is the number in front of x squared. If there's not a number in front of the x squared, that's like a 1. B is the number in front of x. Use the sign, so that's negative 8. And c is the constant. Don't lose that sign either, negative 20. So then you take these numbers and you put them into this formula. So you're going to have negative b. Since that was a negative 8, it's going to be positive 8 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so negative 8 squared minus 4 times a is 1 times c is negative 20. And it's all over 2 times a, which is 1. Remember, you're going to take your calculator and you're going to do just what's under the square root first. Let's go to your home screen, clear it out, and we're going to say parentheses negative 8. When you're writing a negative number or squaring a negative number, make sure you put it in parentheses and the squared's outside. Minus 4 times 1 times negative 20. And you get 144, okay? That's what that's equal to. So then you have to find the square root of 144. Second x squared, 144. Not 1444. Second x squared, 1, 4, 4. And that's 12. So this becomes 8 plus or minus 12 all over 2. You got to get 2 answers. And you got to go through this twice to do this. You're going to say 8 plus 12, enter, divided by 2, because that's what you had on the bottom. So 10 is one answer. And then you're going to do it again, but you're going to say 8 minus 12, enter, and then you're going to divide by 2, and you get negative 2. So 10 and negative 2 are your answers. Number 24 is going to work the same way. Start by moving that 15, and it becomes 4x squared plus 4x minus 15 is equal to 0. So a is 4, b is 4, and c is negative 15. When you put it in your equation, you get negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 squared minus 4 times a is 4 times c is negative 15. And it's all over 2 times a, which is 4. So you take your calculator and you do what's under the square root. So we're going to say 4 squared minus 4 times a was 4 times c was negative 15. And you're going to get 256. Find the square root of 256 using second x squared, and it is 16. So this becomes negative 4 plus or minus 16 all over 2 times 4, which is 8. So using your calculator, you're going to say negative 4 plus 16, enter, divided by 8, and you get x is equal to 1.5. Then you do it again with negative 4 minus 16, enter, divided by negative, no, not by negative, divided by 8, and you get negative 2.5. And so those are your 2 answers. Make sure you do the top, press enter, and then divide. So that's everything on your review sheet. You are going to have the test tomorrow. One thing that you need to be aware of is you're not going to use your notes this time, so you need to study. And your transformations are the big thing that seems to be getting you, okay? So remember, a negative at the front is going to make it flip. Plus at the end is going to move it up. Minus at the end is going to move it down. Big number at the front is going to get narrow. And a small number at the front is going to get wide. Remember that if they give you 2 equations, there's still just one set of answers. You're comparing the 2 equations. If you need me to go over one of those, come up, I'll make up a problem, and we'll look at it. Don't forget, look over this, know what you're doing, and come see me if you have questions.